In this tutorial, we'll be learning how we can convert HTML prototype to a working React application. What I've done over here is I've created a simple functioning web form in HTML5 and Bootstrap CSS. The form submission is done using jQuery Ajax. So here you can see a couple of fields like first name, last name, date of birth, and email. Now if I click on submit over here, you'll see the validation happening, like first name, if left blank, it will say please fill out this field. And the same is the case with other fields as well. Like I fill the first one and then I go to the last name here, the same validation fires here as well. Now this source code that you see over here is one simple file. So it's like including the Bootstrap CSS over here, making it responsive by this meta tag, and here we have the form. The ID of the form is kept as my form. Then we have these input boxes. You'll notice the required attribute, which is kind of invoking the validation when the form is being submitted, and we have this for first name, last name, date of birth, and email. The type for email, as you can see over here, is specified as email, and for date it's specified as date. So it automatically checks whether the syntax of the input is valid or not. So a date needs to be a date and an email needs to follow the email syntax. That way the validation takes place. And at the bottom you can see we have the jQuery library and Bootstrap min.js. And over here we are having this jQuery form submission data, where we are using jQuery.ajax method over here to submit the data over to the server. So the endpoint will come over here. Now let's go ahead and change this whole thing into a React application. So here I've created a simple React application over here, you can see, and let me open the terminal over here. So what I've done is I've created a directory called React from HTML, and then as you can see on top, I'm just running a command called npx create react app, and then the name of the app. In my case, the name is react-html, and at the bottom you can see when the app has been created, it's just saying that you need to go inside this directory. So let's do that over here. And once we are in this directory, what we'll do is we'll starting the app. So let's see the default React app that has been created now. So here we have the default app, and here we have the form that we need to now create as a React application. Let's go back and open up the src directory in React HTML, and here we can see all these files have been created. What we'll do next is we'll be creating a component first of all, and that component is going to take care of the form submission, and we'll be calling this form as simpleform.js. So let's create a file and let's name it as simpleform.js. So here you can see what we have done is we have created this simple form, and we are capturing these variables: first name, last name, date of birth, and email. We have created a handle submit method which is posting the data. So this is the replacement for the jQuery version. So here you can see for jQuery we had this $.ajax, and we were making this type URL, date, success, and error. Over here what we are doing is we are using the fetch command. So we are specifying the server URL over here, then the method is post. We are stringifying the form data, and then we are doing it within the try catch block. If the response is okay, we will be showing this message, and if not, in that case we'll be showing this error submitting the form. Otherwise, if there is an exception, in that case as well, we'll be showing the error submitting form, but we'll also display the error message. So that is the form submission part, and here we are defining the basic model that we will be kind of capturing. So here what we are doing is as soon as data is being changed, the form elements are being set. So that's the thing what you see over here, e.target.name : e.target.value. So we are saying that if I'm typing first name somewhere in the form, that value will be associated and will be assigned to these constants that we have: first name, last name, DOB, and email respectively. You must be wondering why we are writing it in this way. If you notice, the model that we have, first name, last name, DOB, and email, and the name attribute that we have, the value over here for name is first name, and that's the model name as well, or the attribute name as well over here. And that's the reason why we are saying e.target name over here to assign the respective value to those data points. So when we are saying first name, it will be referring to the first name, like when we are entering some data over there. Last name will be last name. DOB and email in the same way will be assigned over here. And that's what we are doing when we are writing it e.target.name colon e.target.value. So once that's done, the setting of form data has been taken care of. Now let's compare the form that we will be actually creating. So if you see over here, the form that we had, it was a pretty simple form, and it had this input type text class, form control, ID first name, first name, and then the required attribute. And this pattern is exactly being followed for other input elements as well. Over here in simpleform.js, what we have done is the label that you see is exactly the same. Now coming on to the input. So here we are specifying the type. So if you compare, we do have type over here. Next, class. So instead of class, we are saying class name over here. So that's one difference. So if you see over here, it's just plain and simple class. But in React, we are creating the class as class name. So the attribute over here changes from class to class name. And then the ID and name remains the same. The value that we have. So here you can see there was no value being set. It was a simple HTML form. But over here, what we are doing is we are setting the value to the model that we have created on top. So first name over here, and that is being assigned over here. And on change, we are triggering this event handle change so that whenever whatever data is being changed in this model, that will be updated accordingly. And here you can see required. This is the attribute which will trigger the validation aspect. And this is exactly how we have in a normal HTML5 form. So this pattern is then being followed for all the other elements like last name, date of birth. And here you can see the type is being supported here as well. So type date or type email. So there's no change in that way. And you can see this form has been created as a separate component. And then we have this button submit. That's done. We are exporting this form now. So where exactly we will be consuming it, that is the next question. Now the next thing that we'll be doing is we'll be going to our app.js file, and here we'll be kind of removing this whole function app that we have, and instead of this we'll have our own function. Now this function, what it is doing, it's first of all importing the simple form that we have created over here, and then we are introducing it within this div. That's the main div, class name equals app, and then we are saying simple form. Now the app or the default application already has a CSS, app.css, which is being referred over here. Now let's go ahead and see how the form is looking right now when we run this. Okay, so let's stop it for now, and I'll be running it one more time. Over here, I'll be again giving the same command, npm start, press enter. So this is the HTML form that we had, and this is how it is looking right now. I don't see these styles being applied over here at all. So first check whether the validations are working or not. So here I can see the validations are definitely working, so we are covered over there. The date is also working fine, but the styling is missing altogether. So let's see how we can fix the styling aspect as well. Let's go back, and over here let's stop this application for a moment. Over here what we're missing is the bootstrap altogether. So how we can get that? The first thing is we need to install bootstrap. So here, once the application has been created, what you can do is you can execute this command, npm install bootstrap, press enter, and once that has been done, what you can do is you can import the bootstrap. So from where you are importing it, you're importing it from bootstrap/distribution/css, and then the name of the CSS file. Now let's give it a run one more time by saying npm start. Now over here, if you see, the styling has definitely been applied. Like the submit button is having this blue color, and the same is over here. The simple form is also coming up. It's just the alignment that we have. Like over here, it's left aligned, and over here, it's center aligned. So if you inspect this over here, you'll notice the center alignment is coming because we have also included the app.css. Now the app.css over here, you can see it's inherited from div.app, and here we have app.css which says text align center, and this is what it is doing. So, and the reason why this is being applied over here is because our form is within a div which is having reference to the class app. So if I go to my app.css file, and here you can see app text align center. Let's go ahead and say it as left. Save this, and now if I go back to the web form, you can see the same HTML form which was created using HTML, CSS and jQuery has now been easily converted with all the default validations that we had as a React application. So this comes in very handy when you have a prototype that has been developed and provided to you in plain and simple HTML jQuery kind of format, and you need to create an application out of it. That's the way you can approach it. Try to figure out what components you can derive from that HTML page, create those, and then import them as necessary wherever in your React application. Like in this case, we just took it in the app.js file itself.